Welcome to the Retro Time Machine. This is Jonathan and Mark, and we're going to be talking about some old games. Speaking of old games, Cool World. It's an ocean game. This is one I used to rent from Blockbuster all the time. You guys remember Blockbuster? I mean, we used to have all kinds of Blockbusters all over the place around here, you know. And we used to have Super Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games on the wall when you walked in. You remember that? And we had so much fun. I mean, the times were way different back then. I mean, we Halloween, you had trick or treaters that actually came to the door, and you would have these leaf bags. You remember the leaf bags that had little jack o' lantern faces on them? I remember that, and little witches that would laugh when you went by. It had a little motion sensor. I mean, that was the '90s, man. It was great. It was a great time to be alive. And I wish some of these cats could have experienced that, you know, growing up, because, you know, being born.
90s Halloween was a whole different vibe from now. That's when Halloween was Halloween.
Yeah.
That was a great time to be we were both 90s kids. We're both from 1986.
1986.
December 86, September 86.
Yep.
So we grew up, we didn't really, we were born in the mid 80s, but we grew up in the 90s, so.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s.
And so, I mean, the vibe was much different back then. I mean, most people, they had VCRs, Super Nintendo games.
VCRs.
I mean, we did, we even did the NES. A lot of people, up until the point, like 1999, people had like Sega Dreamcast, things like that. But, I mean, there's plenty of old games. I love Super Nintendo. I'm a avid collector of old stuff. I still have my Pogs. You remember the milk carton Pogs?
Oh, yeah.
1995 was a big deal. The
Pogs.
Mid
90s, those
and you would play Pogs. You had the slammers, the steel slammers, and you had the Pogs. And you would line them up, you'd stack them up, and then you would the steel slammer.
1995. That's
1995.
When, the movie Dragonheart came out with Sean Connery.
Sean Connery, he's a legend. The guy's a legend.
Scottish legend.
I'm telling you, man. Untouchables, Dragonheart. Sean Connery is a real legend.
I've got a lot of Scottish heritage, so I think Sean Connery's an awesome Scotsman.
If you can't tell, pretty Irish. I mean,
Scotsman and Irishman.
Yeah, and we do a lot of videos, and this is from other stuff. But, this is one we're doing for the retro.
We do have a beer review channel too. Check it out, called Celtic Skull Beer Reviews.
Celtic Skull Beer Reviews.
Where we just do all beer reviews. But this one, we're bringing back just good vibes and good memories. This is a whole different channel.
1990s, 1980s type vibes.
And early
2000s vibes.
Yeah. We were teenagers back then.
I remember being, when me and him first met, it was 2005, 2006.
We were both 19.
19 years old. We go to the mall.
We met on MySpace.
Yeah,
we were just two metalhead guys. We were the same age. He lived in the next town over from me.
Yeah.
And he added me on MySpace. I said, "What's up, brother? You're a metalhead? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the same age as me. Let's hang out." Well, dude, we instantly became best friends. Like, instantly.
And that was back at the time you had this thing called Vampire Freaks. I mean, that was a great website too.
That was a gothic website.
It was a different website. But now it's just a clothing website, because you guys, these younger cats, probably wouldn't remember that.
It was like a gothic metalhead website back then.
But we're OGs when it comes to that, and we like all the metal stuff, like Crowbar, Pantera,
Typo Negative,
Typo Negative, all that stuff. And I just thought we would do this channel because
bring back good old memories,
good vibes, from a era that we remember, we understand.
90s goth metal.
Yeah.
That kind of era of vibes.
Yeah, there's just so much in the 90s, the 80s, the early 2000s, so we created this channel. This is our introduction. I mean, we just want to tell y'all a little bit about us.
This is just an introduction to what we're about, and unedited. It's unscripted. We're just telling you from the heart.
Yep. Who we are, where we got our start.
I'm Mark.
This is Jonathan. And we're both from the South. We enjoy older stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have Game Boy Color. I got I got all the old consoles. I have a Sega Game Gear from 1991. Yeah, it was Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. It's the original one that I had. And I'm telling you right now, you got to have your original consoles. Any of you guys still have the original consoles? Hang on to those. Don't put them in a glass case yet. Play those things. You get more
Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I grew up on that shit too, dude. Like, you know.
And I get more out of it when I play the original console, the original cartridge and the controller. You get more out of that. You got all these emulators and stuff nowadays, but it's not the same vibe. You got to have the original vibe with it.
Being that me and Jonathan were both born in '86, and we grew up in the '90s. That was such a great time, dude. Old wrestling, WWF, WCW, ECW,
Stone Cold Steve
Austin, Undertaker, Kane, Hulk Hogan,
yeah,
Razor Ramon.
Oh yeah,
the bad guy,
Brock Lesnar,
the bad guy, Razor Ramon. He'd be like,
Brock Lesnar, Hulk Hogan. Oh yeah,
Doink the Clown.
Oh yeah,
can't forget him now. Who else?
Well, I say Stone Cold was my, Goldberg. We forgot Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg.
Goldberg.
Yeah, the 90s wrestling was the best, man.
I'm telling you, there was so much good stuff in the 90s. I mean, the wrestling, the games, the movies.
I love those old matches, steel cages and the Hell in the Cell. Elimination Chamber.
We both remember Blockbuster. We used to go to Blockbuster as kids. Our parents used to take us in there. They had the Sega Genesis.
Oh yeah.
The Super Nintendo games all on the wall. You
Nintendo 64.
You had the Konami Justifier. It was a light gun that they used with some of the light gun games. I love those light gun shooter games. They were great. They were great. I mean, you look at Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You look at any of the light gun games.
I like the wrestling games. The wrestling games are my favorite.
Yeah, but
my dad, he should take me and my brother in the 90s, he would take me and my brother to Blockbuster on a Friday night. I would rent wrestling games and horror movies. That was the greatest time ever, man. I miss Blockbuster, bro. And Kmart.
Yeah.
I miss Kmart and Blockbuster, Toys R Us. That's the stuff we grew up on. And let's talk about television, Jonathan.
I remember
old Nickelodeon.
I remember Rocko's Modern Life. We had Two Stupid Dogs. You had a lot of different shows. I mean,
my favorite was Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Classic '90s old Nickelodeon.
We both prefer the Willow and the Wisp.
We loved it.
That's a great episode with Jake. That's a great episode with Are You Afraid of the Dark? We watch that all the time, man. And you gotta love the '90s, man.
I love Are You Afraid of the Dark was awesome, dude.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yep.
You had all those '90s specials. Yeah. you had him laughing. He's like, doing.
He's in the basement, dude.
Oh yeah. Right. But we had there were so many like Rocko's Modern Life.
He's a wallaby.
He's a wallaby
from Australia, mate.
Wallaby from Australia, mate. He's crazy, and you had the big heads. He's like, "What do you do?" The big heads.
As an American, I love Australians. Awesome people.
Oh yeah.
I love the accent, by the way.
Yeah, Aussies are great, man. Aussies are great. I would
love to see Australia, and I would love to see New Zealand too.
I would love to see all of it. You guys like and subscribe. I mean, we do these videos to kind of bring y'all back. This is it's a retro time machine. We're putting you guys in a time machine, and we're taking you back. That's what this is all about.
We're two '90s dudes. We grew up in the '90s.
Oh yeah.
So
the real '90s kids, not the ones that were born in the '90s. We're the ones that were born in the '80s, but we experienced all the '90s.
Hey, bro. America Online, AOL days, the AOL chat room days.
You got mail.
Welcome. Got mail.
Yep. You got pictures. Oh man,
those
we were
are great times.
We loved that. I had Web TV. You remember Web TV?
Yep.
Where you had the mouse and the keyboard. You hooked it into your TV. The big thing was you could watch TV, and you could surf the web on your TV.
Oh, see, I didn't have that, but I remember.
I had that, but I remember Amazon was just a bookstore. It basically was where you could buy books. That was it.
I just had AOL Windows 98 on an old computer. Like that was my. I remember being. When I was a kid in 1998 and I got AOL on a computer for the first time, Windows 98, I really enjoyed the chat rooms, and I met a lot of good people on there. That was pre MySpace days, and then MySpace became the big thing. I loved MySpace. Those are some great
MySpace
times.
was great.
But those were early 2000s, 2004, 2005, 6.
And see, the thing is about MySpace, you could have your own music on there. There wasn't no copyright crap, you know. You could have your own music on there. You could design it with the GIFs that you wanted. When somebody went to your page, they'd have a GIF where it's moving and
So
stuff.
you kind of saw like you know, you saw how AOL was big, and then MySpace became a big thing, and I loved both times, man. Those are great times.
Absolutely. And I remember, you know, speaking of Windows 98, Windows 95, we were just watching old screensavers on YouTube from, you know, different, you know, old operating systems like the Underwater Adventure screensaver. You had the mystery one, you know, with the creeping of the door and all that. It's great. It's a great deal. And I think you guys would really enjoy the old screensavers too, because if you go look those up, Underwater.
Oh yeah, the screensavers. We
Yeah.
were just talking about this earlier. I like the Halloween one with the haunted house, and you see a black cat walking across, and you can see a full moon,
Yeah.
and the witch goes ah, like it was great, man. That's my favorite one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they had the 3D pipes, Mystify, the windows flying.
space one.
in your face. They had the windows. You know, it was classic. The
Yeah.
windows and all that. But
Windows
yeah.
95, Windows 98.
Oh yeah. There was just so many good times back then, you know, so many good vibes. And I think, you know, you younger cats were out here to kind of let y'all know we're OGs, because, you know, people say they're 90s kids, but they're born 1990
Yeah.
this, 1990 that.
No,
We're born 1986, so we experienced all of the 90s.
We did.
And so we're here to talk about it, our experiences growing up in that time period, and kind of share that with y'all.
And I used to love reading the Goosebumps books. Remember that, y'all?
Goosebumps, Choose Your Own
Goosebumps.
Adventure. You remember Choose Your Own Adventure,
Yeah.
where you could choose what you do from
Which
chapter to
story.
chapter, where you go. If you're going to go through the door, if you're not going to go through the door, turn
R.L.
to this
Stein
page.
is a great author.
Oh yeah, great.
Um,
I remember. I'll take it even further back, and I'll say
All right.
the Taco Bell Goosebump toys that they had from Taco Bell or
I
Burger
remember
King.
that.
I think it was Burger King or
Burger
Taco
King,
Bell.
yeah.
But they had the Goosebump toys where they had the mummy that glowed in the dark, the Dracula that kind of glowed in the dark. And that was like 97. I'm talking like 1997 for y'all that probably weren't even born at that time. That's 1997 was around the time I remember being a kid, going there, and it was just a great experience, you know, all around. And they had the little Chihuahua dog from Taco Bell. I remember I have a keychain with the little Chihuahua dog at Taco Bell.
I would put Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark show like right up there. They were both awesome 90s gothic shows.
Absolutely. Freakazoid, all of that stuff, man.
The Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Those are
too.
good times.
It's a classic too. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. You guys, Johnny Bravo, 1996. You know.
Hey Arnold. Hey
Yeah.
football head. Hey
Yeah.
Arnold.
Yeah.
Great times.
But they
man.
had all kinds of.
The 90s were the best, dude.
It really was.
My favorite comedian of the 90s would have to be Sinbad.
I don't know.
He's
It's
a
hard
great-
for me to
he's
say.
a great comedian.
It's hard for me to say a favorite comedian from the 90s. I like so many. I can't really.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of.
Well, I like Sinbad. I think Sinbad's a great comedian.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right.
Yeah.
We'll, you know.
I like that movie with him called House Guest. Y'all ever seen him with that? Like 1995 movie? That's pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Sinbad's awesome, dude.
What about you? Had Our Real Monsters? You had
Oh, yeah, I remember
you
that.
Remember Our Real Monsters? I used to have the toy. I remember going to KB Toys. I don't know if y'all remember KB Toys at the mall, but they had like the Our Real Monsters toys. You could get them in the early 90s, 1992, 1994. I remember getting that for my birthday one
And
year.
in this video, we're gonna be very late 80s to very early 2000s, y'all. We're just gonna be like that's all the vibes we're about.
Yeah, we're just trying to bring y'all back. The people that weren't around at that time, you weren't alive, stick around. You might learn something. You might understand, you know, kind of where we're coming from a retro vibe perspective. Retro Time Machine. We're taking y'all that weren't even alive at that time in a time machine. We're
Right.
transporting you to those times.
We're
with
telling
our
y'all
conversations.
we're telling y'all how it was back then.
Exactly.
And we make the best of times anytime. It's but the memories are what it's about.
When we're taking you back in a time machine,
Yeah.
that's what Retro Time Machine's about. We're taking you back in our
Right now
conversations.
it's in the middle of March, and it's pretty chilly tonight. It's actually like 40 degrees. It feels good.
Yep.
We're in late fall. We're only 3 days away from spring. 2 days from
So
spring.
step into the time machine with Retro Time Machine. Like and subscribe. Share this video if you like our content, and we'll see you in a bit.